Which story is trending around the world? Hello, Janex.
Right. Good morning. How are you?
I'm good.
I thought you said you were going to pause for a little bit with the sing song.
The man can't help it.
Okay, no worries.
He has to sing.
Good morning, Tundu. How are you?
Oji, I'm great, thank you. You came prepared.
I did. Good morning.
Oji, you are the only one that makes Dr. Abati single.
Wawoo. Was that what you called it?
Yeah, Wawulen. But you can also sing with a party form of 100 million naira.
Absolutely. Don't you think I'm up to the task?
He's done it. Rufai's going to cover the 100 million.
Really?
You are only required
Yes,
to provide 5 billion for the campaign.
What? Tundu,
Which I know.
really?
Yeah.
I thought.
Please, because
If you guys don't hurry up, I will still take the 100 million to go and be president of my house.
no, because we are tired of this declaration. Dr. Abati, you need to, at least if Dr. Abati is there, I know if he gets to the debate, he will floor all of these people.
Absolutely.
No.
We have to make it happen.
Yes.
We have to make it happen.
In Nigeria, you don't become a president by being an eloquent debater.
I beg to differ.
Half of your audience will just, this man thinks it's a grammar. So.
I beg to differ.
So, Dr. Abati, you are saying invariably that the presidential criteria is in the words of a young man called Small Doctor, that if you don't have money, hide your face.
Well, we'll see.
Well, all right.
It's not about grammar. It's more than speaking English.
Okay. Good morning to you, viewers. Here are some of the stories that are trending across the globe. In the United States, billionaire Elon Musk on Tuesday said he would reverse Twitter's ban on former U.S. President Donald Trump. Musk, who has called himself a free speech absolutist, said the decision to ban Trump from Twitter did not silence the former president's voice, but rather amplified his views among people on the political right, calling the ban morally wrong and flat out stupid. In the United Kingdom, the Prince of Wales, Charles, and the Duke of Cambridge, Prince William, took center stage at the opening of Parliament on Tuesday, replacing Queen Elizabeth II, who missed the grand set-piece event for the first time in almost 6 decades. The 96-year-old monarch was forced to withdraw on Monday due to a recurrence of mobility issues, leaving 73-year-old Prince Charles to read out the government's legislative agenda. In Sri Lanka, the home office of the country's Prime Minister, Mahinda Rajapaksa, on Monday was set on fire by a group of anti-government protesters just hours after he resigned in response to calls for his ousting. Owing to an economic crisis, the Prime Minister was evacuated to safety by military police and riot squads deployed to the scene. Under sports, a California district attorney announced on Monday that former heavyweight boxing champion Mike Tyson will not face charges after he was seen attacking an overzealous fan, 36-year-old Melvin Townsend, aboard a Florida-bound airplane on April 20th. The attorney's office declined to file a misdemeanor battery charge, citing Townsend's conduct leading up to the incident. In a video that went viral on social media, the 55-year-old boxing legend was seen punching Townsend repeatedly, leaving him with cuts on his forehead.
Hey, Mike, come on.
If you leave me a good time, I swear.
Finally, under entertainment, Afrobeats musician Chukwuka Ekwani, popularly known as CK, has become the first Nigerian singer to amass over 1 billion Spotify streams with his hit single, Love Nwantiti. The 26-year-old Warner Records signee also made history by becoming the first African artist to reach 30 million monthly Spotify listeners. The song, which was first released in 2019, has received numerous certifications around the world, and it's the first African song to reach the milestone. Well, let's begin what's trending. The governor of Ebonyi State, Dave Umahi, has reacted to the allegations indicating that Nigeria's former president, Goodluck Jonathan, may throw in his hat to run for president. Well, on Monday, a coalition of northern groups brought the 100 million naira APC presidential form for the former president, urging him to join the race. An action that has generated several reactions from various quarters. Well, Dave Umahi, while speaking at the State House in Abuja on Tuesday, said that the form was purchased to embarrass Jonathan and that if the former president joined the All Progressives Congress to compete for the presidential ticket, it will become one of the wonders of the century. Well, let's take a listen.
If he decides to join and to, run, it will, for me, become one of the wonders, of this century. The reason is that if you go and see the campaign, programs of APC, and you now ask Mr. President Jonathan to come and run, I don't know what will be our campaign promises and what will be, the stories we'll be telling Nigerians. And I believe strongly that he was not aware of, the form. And I want to believe that people that are mischievous would have bought the forms to embarrass him. But from what I read, he has quickly, distanced himself, from that.
Schau dir diese kurze Präsentation bis zum Ende an. Weitere Informationen zum Einstieg.
He has quickly, distanced himself, from that.
Well, Dr. Abati, you need to give us inside baseball. You need to give us information. We need to know what's going on with our former president. What is the story? I mean, this day is reporting Jonathan gives conditions. What's happening, really? We need to know. We need to know.
Well, what you know is what I know. That President Jonathan has issued a statement saying that he did not purchase any forms and is not part of any race, right? Mm-hmm. Two different statements in less than 24 hours. And since those two statements were issued, nothing else has changed. But if anything is going to come out, I guess that many persons will be surprised that if a statesman, a man of his stature, who issue a statement, I don't believe that Ikechukwu Eze was on a frolic of his own to have issued that statement. Then, of course, it would be the strangest thing ever. And that was why I said that would be the real wonder of the century, that a former president could openly, reverse himself in a short time and lie to the Nigerian people. That would be quite a wonderful thing if it were to happen. That's one. The second thing I said, well, in any case, look, let's wait till next week. The forms will close on the platform of the APC by Friday. By Saturday, they will start the screening. By Sunday, by Monday morning, Tuesday morning, we will already know what the situation is. But I don't think that, President Jonathan will eat his own words. And as Elder Ogidi pointed out, he said he had a conversation with him and that he said he wants to concentrate on his international NGO, the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation, and continue with his new engagement, as an African statesman. Okay. As you speak, he's off, leading a team to observe elections in another African country, and he's been doing that, he's been busy out of office. However, people also say that the people who are pushing for President Jonathan to come and be a consensus candidate, which is not likely to happen. Look, if you look at Section 8412, the definition of consensus there, all the other aspirants, all those people who have collected forms in the APC, they will have to sign. That is what the law says. I don't see all of them coming together and signing. And already, supporters of Vice President Osinbajo, supporters of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, they've all come out to say it will not happen. Many groups in the party have said it won't happen. So look at the list of aspirants in the APC. They will simply just refuse to sign any paper to create any consensus. Will President Jonathan now go and expose himself to the ridicule of being, disappointed? So that consensus, that adoption, it's not likely to happen. Don't trust these statements being made by the aspirants that we are party people, we are loyal to the party. If the party takes a position, we will follow that position. There may just be some strong-headed guys who will say, no, let us go there and test our popularity. You join a party within 1 week and you think you can test popularity at the party convention within 2 weeks. It doesn't look practicable. So we'll have clarity, certainty by next week, and we can all look ahead.
Tundu, but you know we have seen these spokespersons, these people that represent the president, always sometimes make mistakes. Would I call it a mistake or mischievous mistakes?
Which spokespersons are you talking about?
I know some spokespersons. I'm not talking about you, Dr. Bati, because now you're a journalist.
I prefer to call it outright lies.
Lies, okay.
Yes, we the Nigerian public have become accustomed to being lied to.
Yes.
But yes, like you said, it makes perfect sense for me from where I'm sitting, and obviously I'm not in the shoes of the former president, for him to just stay above the fray. Because Governor Umahi is right. He also decamped from his original party, PDP, to APC, but at no point was that suggested as a wonder of the world, because his own level of decamping is actually quite commonplace. It would be jaw-dropping to have President Jonathan do the same thing, and as you said, failing to achieve a consensus, which is likely, and then be dragged through political primaries. But as far as I'm concerned, he couldn't have written this any better. This is President Jonathan, if he planned it. Because look at the irony of the same people that banged on endlessly about 16 years of PDP misrule, which I don't disagree with, I have to say, you know my thoughts. I don't disagree with it, but that's all we heard as a common refrain. Constantly, you're now coming to woo the same person who their supporters were protesting with a coffin for this man. He was completely maligned. He was slandered. I remember the APC interim national chairman as he was.
In designer T-shirts.
Yes. With a coffin. Who does that? That's how low it went. I remember the interim chairman as he was at the time, Chief Bisi Akonde, referring to him as a kindergarten president, just all kinds of abuse. And this is the same person that's been wooed as a beautiful bride. So I think it speaks volumes for all who recall that really revoltingly ugly political campaign. And I think it should be left at that point, and he should not deign to wade any further into this issue.
Well said, Tundu. Rufai.
For me, I take a very different view.
All right, let's hear it.
Because Nigerian politics is like a combination of James Hadley Chase novel and, if you want to add, Agatha Christie. Probably set a plot of Murder on the Orient Express.
It's like a movie.
Yes.
Who's Hercule Poirot?
Hercule Poirot. With a lot of, in local parlance, plots, twists and turns, and all of that. You see, all the things they said against President Goodluck Jonathan, that was political speak. These politicians, they know what they are doing. Speak. These politicians, they know what they are doing. We Nigerians were on the receiving end. They are talking amongst themselves. Let's not be deceived. With all the things the APC say about Goodluck Jonathan, they have made up and they've kissed and made up. You see, we are two different people in this country. The politicians are we, the masses. We will never know what goes on in their heads. So see, in Nigeria, I've learned there's no smoke without fire. And sources are talking here and there. We cannot say, yes, the president, should live above board. He's got Goodluck Jonathan Foundation as a worker, as an elder statesman and all of that. Hello, elder statesmen who have come back to do partisan politics. At some point, Olusegun Obasanjo was being considered for the Secretary General of the United Nations after his first term. After the first time he served as military head of state, when he came back, he still did partisan politics. So let's not deceive ourselves. What the source is, because it's politics and I like juicy gist. What the sources are saying, that he's actually interested, but a deal has not been done yet, the deal of consensus candidates. And we are talking about consensus candidates. It's easy to get now. Is this not the same consensus candidate they're telling all the people that bought 100 million naira form to sign at the back that they will withdraw?
From 18.
Yeah, from 18. So if the stars are aligned,
18 is optional.
They can just, the ones that have signed it can just take it. Like the Yoruba say, how long will it take them to come back and sign the form when money exchange hands?
I tell you that you're sort of making my point.
Yes.
President Olusegun Obasanjo did not come and fight it out and be dragged through a primary. He was basically the anointed, was he not?
But he was almost a Kweme. it was 9 minutes. Who says that cannot happen again? Because let's not forget that PDP primaries in the 90s. Ekweme was at the top, and all of a sudden...
Okay, you think he was dragged through an ugly battle? No, he was not.
That's another one. And just like we had in the last PDP primaries, somebody was already top until a certain call was made, and we know what happened. So all of this, my point is, where we will wait till next week. If President Goodluck Jonathan doesn't run, we say, okay, hooray. But let's not discountenance the juicy gists here and there. They are juicy. I like them.
Okay, let's throw another thing into the equation, which is one of the things that people have mentioned. Namely, that if the miracle you expect happens, the magic you're defining happens, it means that President Jonathan can only do 4 years. And there are many Southerners who are saying, no, that will mean President Jonathan allowing the North to take advantage of the South. What those who bring that up are saying is that, look, let a Southerner go there and do 8 years and not change Southerners by making sure that Southerners can only do 4 years. And that the Northern supporters who are saying, oh, let's adopt President Jonathan, that they don't really mean well. They just want a short window of 4 years so that the North can come back and take power for 8 years. So all of that is there. So if they go that route, how many Southerners will be persuaded, even if they are not party members, to say, oh, 4 years will be enough for the South? So there are many dimensions to it. But next week, we'll know.
We'll know. So let's take another story. The identities of the 162 convicts recommended for pardon by the Presidential Advisory Committee on Prerogative of Mercy has now been made public. The list had generated controversy because of the inclusion of Joshua Dariye, former governor of Plateau State, and Jolly Nyame, former governor of Taraba State, who had both been convicted for criminal breach of trust relating to corruption charges. Their pardon became even more controversial after reports broke out that some senior officials of the Ministry of Justice had been quizzed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission over suspicion of corruption in the compilation of the presidential pardon list. Well, on the list are scores of people convicted for fraud, money laundering, drug trafficking, forgery, and stealing. In all, 26 inmates, 85 surviving ex-convicts, and 1 deceased ex-convict were recommended for the presidential pardon. 27 were recommended for presidential clemency, as well as 13 others whose terms of imprisonment were to be reduced. And for those on death row, 10 of them were to be commuted to life imprisonment. Well, alas, the list is out, Tundu Abiola. But while I was reading, I was quite shocked at some of the people that were on the list. The most shocking for me was a nurse or a woman who had committed forgery, and they had permitted her because, you know, she might be good for the medical field, like we lack here in Nigeria. But, you know, I mean, the conversation is out there now. Now we know the people on the list. I don't know what your thoughts are. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yes, I wasn't shocked at all by it was a doctor who was convicted of forgery. And because she's good for the medical profession, was pardoned, and another gentleman who had picked up a trade, I believe he became a barber or something. So because he's improved himself in some way, he's eligible to be pardoned. It didn't surprise me at all, because in order to be eligible for a presidential pardon, you need to have been convicted of a crime.
Yeah, of course.
So these are not people who have been angelic all their lives. So it wasn't surprising on that score. You have to have done something. Right. And you're being given a second chance. I know the news is out today about Sundiata Akoli, the Black Panther movement stalwart who murdered, I believe was a police officer, a state trooper, 49 years ago. And he's finally going to be released from prison after 49 years, even though advocates have been fighting on his behalf that he's completed 120 courses, he's been exemplary in prison, he should have been released previously. So if you behaved yourself while in detention for whatever reason that you were, if you improved yourself, if you have something to add to society, then that strengthens your case to be released. I think the issue with this presidential pardon has sort of been overshadowed by the scandal of those former governors that were pardoned because of that fight against corruption. What then is the point? So these other regular average Nigerians who got who made it to the list, don't raise my eyebrows at all.
Yeah.
For me, the offensive ones are those two governors.
Yeah.
They should not have been given a presidential pardon. And the ascendancy of President Zelensky of Ukraine reminds me of this other comedian many years ago, talking about maybe 12 years ago. Remember that scandal in Iceland when a lot of their government had to resign because of their dodgy dealings with the banks? Yeah. So this guy in protest, a stand-up comedian who used to dress up in all kinds of silly costumes, decided to run for mayor of their capital, Reykjavik, and he had this best party, and his slogan was, let's stop all corruption, and in order to do that, we will openly participate in corruption. That was his slogan. And he won. He became mayor. The people voted him in because they were so disgusted by the hypocrisy of their government. So for me, it's those corruption cases that have tainted everybody else. The doctor can go and sin no more. The barber can go and sin no more.
Will she be allowed to continue in the medical field? That's the question.
No, she might. It depends on what she did.
But
so she might have
reason.
her license withdrawn.
Yeah.
But it will depend. She'll have to face a disciplinary panel. But she can contribute in other ways. So
right, but the reason was that she was allowed to go because she might contribute into the medical.
But it depends on the forgery. So I don't know the facts of her
Exactly.
case. She might not have committed forgery with regards to her profession, you see. So I don't even have an issue with that because it's about rehabilitation.
Rehabilitation,
yes.
right.
For me, it's the corruption that ruined everything.
Dr. Baki, I also think that the eyebrows were raised when the Ministry of Justice were quizzed by the EFCC on those on the list, the compilation of the list. Remember, is it Francis Atuche was part of the list? But I mean, I don't think that he made it. No, he didn't make it. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's called prerogative
Yeah.
of mercy. And in this particular case, the applicable section of the Constitution is Section 175, subsection 3. And down the line, Section 5, Section 7, which says the president should consult the Council of State. In terms of due process, it's been followed. Okay, so, and as has been pointed out, is to give people an opportunity for rehabilitation. Some of the people on that list were told were, coup plotters, people who deserted the military, convicts, ex-convicts, and all of that. But to the extent that it's a prerogative, I don't think anybody can go to court to go and challenge the process that has been followed. The second thing, of course, is that, granting of pardons or clemency, they've always been very controversial,
Yes.
even in the United States. Ford pardoning Nixon. Some people believe that, look, that damages his career, although he didn't think so. Clinton, President Trump, these were presidents who, within the last week of their leaving office, they gave out over 139 pardons and, clemencies. So it's controversial everywhere. So nobody should be surprised that in Nigeria, people are raising their eyebrows. The only good development is that, we now have a list out there. And since the list was published, nobody has challenged it. But the list being out there helps the purpose of at least transparency.
Yes.
Defense promotes the people's right to know. People just want to know.
Yes.
And we're discussing. It doesn't mean that the government is going to reverse the decision it has taken. But the reason this controversy is there is because in the first instance, Francis Atuche's name was mentioned. He had even spent a year after the conviction. And the argument was that, most of these people, they had life-threatening emails, as the presidency pointed out specifically in the case of Jolly Nyame, former governor, and also, the other governor from Plateau State. Joshua Darie. So, but you can argue about the morality of it, but it's been done, it's been done. The other reason why people, are concerned is the report that certain persons in the committee, the office of the Attorney General, collected, money to put some names on the list, and all of that. But that is being investigated, we're told, and it's the job of the law enforcement agencies to carry out their investigations. But since that story was reported, we have not had any further developments on it. But we just hope that, going forward, both at the federal level and at the state level, even when the president or the governors or other officials, judges, right? If they grant pardon, the integrity of the process will be credible.
Well said, Dr. Bati.
So I think the problem is the process should be more robust. I remember this also happened in the administration of former President Goodluck Jonathan as regards the Alamesia, saga. A lot of people kicked against this.
Scandal.
Yeah, and the likes. I think the process of prerogative of mercy should be put through many layers of scrutiny. It shouldn't just be the case that, okay, the aides and the Ministry of Justice compiles a list and all of that. I think there should be more scrutiny. I think, if possible, let's even involve the civil society in this to scrutinize the process even more before we now make the final recommendation, before the Council of State also sits on it and give advisory. I think various strands and layers of society should sit on it. It should be more robust so we can nullify all of this, encumbrances around corruption and the like as regards to it, because it's quite shameful and painful that something that's supposed to be a corrective measure in society has become a corrupt measure.
Unbelievable. That's the main point.
And that's the sad point.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we can't take our last story. That's all I have for you. My last story is very detailed, so I'd love for us to discuss it tomorrow. Thank you all for your great
very much.
analysis.
Thank you very